Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalram. Today I'll be talking to you guys about macros for rogues. Now, some of you guys have asked me to make a macro video about some of the macros I use, but I'm also going to make this video kind of macros I use as well as some of the ones you can use in order to introduce you to macros and maybe have some of you guys implemented, because macros definitely help out for PvP as well as PvE. They either are going to make your life easier or are going to put complex rotations into a simpler button, where you can pretty much have one macro do 10 different, well, 3 different things, 2 or 3, depending on how well you macro together. So let's take a look at some of the macros I have. There's some easy macros that I'm going to go over first, like Shiv. Shiv can also be put together with throw, so you can have your throw and your Shiv on the same keybind, and if up close, you're going to Shiv, if far away, you're going to throw at your enemy. Whether this will be great for interrupting people trying to flag cap, people trying to res, or people, shamans drop in totems that can be useful, such as cap totem or ground totem. You're able to throw at distance and Shiv up close, because you're not going to throw at up close, and you might as well replace it with Shiv. All you just have to remember is up close you are going to be using Shiv, which does cost a little bit of energy. Another one macro that I have is the stealth macro for rogues in order to get out of combat quicker. First, you stop attack and cast stealth. Stop attack is going to forcibly get you out of combat as quick as possible, as humanly possible, without having to use a vanish. Some of the other macros in order to fight in arenas better and in battlegrounds are such. You have your your focus macro. So shoulder tip, use focus, and I have blind. I have one for gouge as well. You can definitely make more of them. I would definitely recommend maybe making one for cheap shot, kidney, or sap, and I'll get to those macros later. A focus, it'll target your focus target. So let's say I get this fisherman, Ron Ashton, and because I have Ron Ashton on my set focus, my gouge and blind that are set for focus are going to gouge and blind only him. That's going to be easily done in Arena, since you can right-click your enemy bars when you see him pop up, and that's going to auto-set focus anything you need. Also, you should make a keybind for auto-set focus, whether it's, you target them and then hit it, or mouse over. Will it be up to you? So this macro is very useful in Arena, so I would definitely recommend it. Then you have another one for battlegrounds, and it can be used with certain CC abilities. I wouldn't make all CC abilities this style, but a blind is a ranged CC ability with some, 15-yard range, and has a little bit more, I guess, lenience. Any long-range interrupts could be used as this, but this what I have is a target mouse over harm blind, and if I don't have anybody mouse over, it'll blind whatever I'm targeting. Next one is Sap macro, which is very beneficial for rogues. It is to cycle through anybody who's around you and to sap whatever's closest to you. So shout out tooltip, Sap, which shows the actual Sap ability. Then you have clear target slash cast slash clear target slash target enemy slash cast Sap. So as you spam this ability, it's going to continuously, let me just go over to the train dummies, it's going to continuously look for any enemy around you, and it's going to try to sap them, anybody around you. So we have 3 train dummies right here, 2 of them are hostile, so as I'm just going to spam my buttons, right, it's going to be towards relatively direction that you're looking at, anybody close by. That's kind of how this macro works. So if you are stealthing, it's going to be more likely that anybody around you is going to get sapped. This can be used, I wouldn't use it just to actually target sap somebody. I would definitely get a whole different keybind, but this can be used in order to sap anybody around you when you're looking for the other team that's trying to stealth, or if you're looking for another rogue when they're stealthing. This is again something in quality of life simply for rogues, but I'm covering most macros in order to cover most macros when it comes to PvP. Another easy one is cooldown stacking, where you can use either the name of your trinket that's on use, or the slot that it's in. So the top one would be 13, the bottom would be 14, and you can use the abilities such as Killing Spree, or as a warrior you would stack Recklessness, or Wings as a paladin. This is something that easily you can use, and in one button you'll use a bunch of these different abilities. Some of the other macros that you can make in order to target people better, let me take a look at some of them, is right here. It's a cast Shiv modifier, Shiv control and alt modifier. Like this one can allow you to cast and target a party, or you can place it at enemy, which you would, instead of party, you would write arena 1, 2, or 3. And this way you'll be able to target specifically party member or arena enemy. And you can use it with mod, shift control in order to change the different targets. So on top I have a helpful benefit, target player. On the bottom is arena 1, arena 2, arena 3, so you're targeting different arena partners or arena enemies. Instead of having to actually, target them, then cast your spell, you can simply do it with a modifier. So it's something you can do, and if you are feeling like, you know, having one keybind do 3 different things depending on your control, shift, and alt modifier, if you're into that kind of deal, you know, that's up to you. Definitely is a really good choice. Again, Master of Harm can be used for fear, can be used for silences. I would definitely implement it for silences. Here's another one, is an Arena 1 spell name, so you can use certain spells for an Arena 1, Arena 2, Arena 3 enemies. So if you know your a healer is a, and you can, again, definitely separate them out if you want to, or your specific abilities. Let's say a healer is always for you, or an average for you, as Arena 1. You can pretty much have this macro on your keybinds, and every time you are playing, you can have like 3 different polymorphs, or you can have them all under control, you know, shift control. I guess it's just it's a modifier of the modifier target's macro. This one you would have to separate into separate spell name of its own, and separate pieces on keybind. But the modifier you would have is one keybind, but you would have to modify it with shift, control, or alt. So this is something you can do. This is something you can implement in order to get your quicker timing, quicker reaction time, because these kind of macros do definitely help out in arenas when it comes to reaction time. I definitely would try to implement those, but I wouldn't completely convert yourself to those macros, because in PvP, I definitely am all about the gradual evolving process of learning how to use certain macros, instead of just throwing yourself in a situation like with different macros, and maybe even different keybinds, and not knowing what everything is, and having to kind of like walk on stilts trying to figure out how it all works. I've tried that before, and it's not a method that worked for me. For me, it's been a method of gradually evolving as I'm adjusting and adding on new things to my own playstyle as is. And if it ever did have to change, I would definitely go through it, but gradually evolving rather than completely throwing myself in the middle of nowhere, not knowing how everything functions. Another macro that you can make is a really useful one. It's a cast sequence macro. Those are not as common in PvP. I guess they have a little bit more viability when it comes to PvE mechanics, and even then you shouldn't have to rely on them. But these macros can make an easy, I guess, easy life for you half the time. So if I'm using Shadow Reflection as a talent, this cast sequence macro will reset in 5 seconds. That is the reset portion of the macro. It'll first use Shadow Reflection, then Mark for Death, then Kidney Shot, and after 5 seconds it'll reset back, trying to use Shadow Reflection before any other ability. This macro is not going to work if I don't have Shadow Reflection, Mark for Death, or Kidney at the same time on my bars. If I do, however, have all 3 of them, it'll go through in order of Shadow Reflection, then Mark for Death, then Kidney, and then after 5 seconds it's going to try to be able to apply Shadow Reflection. These kind of macros can be useful in abilities that you have to kind of combo together, and if you have like a certain ability that is kind of the starter for it all, that's what you could put as a very first ability in the game. This is something that could be used in particular with, I would say, maybe I wouldn't quite be able to know any other classes at the moment that would be able to use this as effectively, but I'm pretty sure there's some ways you can use that the cast sequence macros to your class. This is definitely something that can be used in combination with other abilities for rogues, but I'm again trying to apply this video so other classes can use these kind of macros and these kind of implementations and tricks in order to make this video more of a macro PvP video rather than rogue macro PvP video. But this is really it, guys. Another thing that you can do is what I have right here, is recuperate and healthstone put together. It can be used in certain situations, and usually I never, as a rogue, I should be recuperating more often, but I normally don't, and if I'm in a battleground or if I'm in an arena, because that extra little bit of recuperate isn't really going to deal me that much of healing. If it was like back when I was in a beta, then the healing was definitely sustainable and definitely could sustain a rogue and even top us off in health within, you know, seconds of being used, like 15 to 20 seconds afterwards, the healing would definitely be seen. So this kind of macro I have is kind of like my oh shit button, where I'm using my healthstone or recuperate. You definitely could make one of those for you. This could be used with multiple different abilities, such as a warrior with using a warrior that uses a Victory Rush could macro this together with Healthstone, where you insta heal, kind of the required heal, ASAP heal, is going to also apply a Healthstone. This can be used for hybrid classes such as Boomkins, Shadow Priests, and maybe even Paladins. When you're casting like a Flash Heal or a Healing Touch, it also uses a Healthstone with you, and as long as you're not a healer-based class who needs an emergency heal, yeah, you would be able to use a Hellstone when you need the healing on yourself, and that's kind of how I would macro the ability. I would macro it with other abilities that provide an emergency self-heal when you need it. But this is really it, guys. This is all the macros I have for PvP when it comes to PvP macros and a little bit of rogue macros. Hopefully you guys do enjoy this video, and hopefully you do find it beneficial and educational at most. So, this is really it. Thank you guys for watching this video. My name is Dalrin. Let me know what you think as well as some of the macros, and if you do have macros of your own for ease of life when it comes to PvP, please go ahead and send them in and put them in the comments below in order to share it with everybody else. Otherwise, hopefully you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.